Our winnowing machine. All built out of garbage, basically. I'll go through it in a minute. To buy a mechanical winnowing machine, small one, about 30,000 US. To buy one of these off the shelf, about 3,000 US. We built this one for about 300 US. It could be built even cheaper than that, which I'll tell you at the end of this little video how that can be done. Okay, people who are watching this, you know what a winnower is, so I don't have to tell you too much. The roasted beans, which come out the roaster, you can break them up if you want to. You can break them in like an industrial farmyard grinder, or you could break them with a mortar and pestle. You can even put them on a clean sheet and just break them with your feet. Those beans, or broken beans, are put into here, into this hopper. They come through here into this pipe. You've got a hoover pulling air through here, through the box and into the hoover. And to put it in a very simple fashion, the nibs, the heavy bit of the beans, which is what you want for making chocolate, they fall into the bucket, and the skin, the chaff, call it whatever you like, is sucked out through these pipes by the hoover. So that's what it's doing. It's separating the chaff from the nibs. Now I'm going to run you through it. What's it made of? Okay, this is a gas bottle. This could be fabricated out of plywood, tin, plastic bucket, use your imagination. This part here, which was the most difficult part to get, is an old juicer. You can put whole beans in and let the juicer crack them. I prefer not to. The reason the juicer is there is to regulate the flow of beans. You can do without it and do it by hand. I should talk about that later. This table we picked up as it was thrown out of an industrial kitchen, didn't cost anything. This bit of metal here is an old bed iron that I picked up on the side of the road, all painted to look nice, not necessary. This plastic pipe we had to buy from the hardware store. It's 3-inch plastic pipe, and here you have a 2-inch plastic pipe coming off at an angle. Inside here, where you can see this nut and bolt sticking out, I made a baffle so that as the stuff runs down this pipe, if that wasn't there, it would be inclined to run down the edge of this pipe. With this baffle in here, it spreads it into the center of the pipe, which is where the vortex is, which is formed by the hoover. So all of this is simple stuff, local hardware store. You can probably even get that in West Africa. If not, I'm sure it could be fabricated because people have time and resources. It could possibly be fabricated out of old plastic bottles, bamboo, anything that is basically pipe shaped. And people have the time and the skills to put it together. This here is just a plywood box. The door on the front is nothing, it's just something I picked up on the side of the road and I thought it looked good. When the chaff comes through here, this pipe goes into one side of the box at the top. The pipe from the hoover goes into the other side of the box at the top. So the airflow is going through an open space inside the box. As it goes across that inside space, the waste product, which is in this suction system, falls to the bottom of the box, and we'll open that and I'll show you in a moment. As I say, the pipe's here, the hoover's here. Now if you can bring your video here, this is a very simple valve. This piece of metal is actually an offcut out of the table. I just drilled a hole in the box and this valve just slides across like that. And what that does, it increases or decreases the amount of vacuum in the pipe. If you come around here, I've made a door on the end. As you can see, it's just a piece of bungee cord and a couple of hinges. It needs some sort of a sealant round here. I use some foam rubber, but any kind of rubber would do, as long as it's got a bit of spring in it, possibly Wellington boot. Leather would probably do well as well if it was thick enough. Again, what you can find. Inside of it, I put this plastic box, not necessary, but if you've got access to it, great. And what that means is whenever I finish winnowing, or every half an hour, whatever, I can pull this out, and this has got a lot of chaff in it and very small bits of broken nib. It can be used for compost, but it also makes an excellent tea. It's very, very healthy stuff. So no waste with this winnower. Now, what have I missed? Yeah, I hope that Aaron can access an old video of our previous roaster. It works exactly the same. I've got to say, for this winnower, you must have access to electricity. Not a lot of electricity, but enough to run at least a hoover. Now, going back to this part, the juicer, which, as I said, is to regulate the flow. Our earlier one, if you can imagine it, instead of the pipe stopping here, coming up to a juicer, it came up higher, and I had a small funnel there, and I would stand and just feed the beans in very, very slowly, and that was my feed control. I changed it to this because here where we live, labour is quite expensive, and to use a machine like this was cheaper and more efficient, but it can be done by hand. Can't see how you can reduce the cost of this one a lot more. You must have the pipe. My previous one, it had an empty bleach bottle, I think it was, for a hopper at the top, and lots of gaffer tape. Message to you NGOs watching this, don't worry about mosquito sprays when you're travelling. Take plenty of duct tape, it's far more useful. And I think that covers the winnower.